Hello everyone, this is Margarita with CityGal Papeterie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I have another Halloween series video for you today. I'm going to be creating some embellishments. I'm going to begin by grabbing some old textbook pages and I'm scrunching them up. As you can see, I'm just going to ball them up and get them all wrinkled. And then what I want to do is create some texture on them that I'm going to follow with some ink blending so that you can see all of the nice texture. And then I'm basically going to use these papers to use, what am I trying to say? I want them as the background of my embellishments. I pull out my black onyx ink, my blender, and then this distress ink in old paper, and I'm just going to start using my blender to dab each of the ink pads and then rub it onto the paper. And then I continue this until I have all of my papers nice and blended with some shadows and detail to accentuate all of the wrinkles and the texture. Once those are all done, I'm going to put them into my little guillotine like paper trimmer. And then I'm just going to trim them up. I'm not measuring here. I'm just making some strips to then pile together and then create smaller pieces. So I'm not too concerned with the wording or anything like that because these are all going to be in the background. I've now stacked a few of each of the pieces together, and then I added some stitching like this. So they look like little Frankenstein papers. They all have their own little individual unique stitching pattern. And again, a lot of this is going to get covered up, but you can kind of see some of it still. I also ink blended some more black ink onto the edges of the paper. And I cut some pieces of this black cheesecloth that I've made in different shapes. This one I made like a little flower, put it through the sewing machine. Some I made a bowl shape. And again, I sewed it together, but you could also use some glue. I did use my hot glue gun on some of the other material that was scrunched together. And then I made all of these rosettes with white crepe paper. I cut them down to the size that I wanted, and then I blended all of their edges to add some nice black shading and contrast. For two of them, I added some stitching. I was kind of trying that out to see how I liked it, and I wasn't too crazy about it, so I only left those two with the stitching. Now I started this one off camera because I wasn't sure exactly the style that I was going for, but they are layered. They're going to be using the Fancy Pants Happy Halloween ephemera packs. And then I'm going to be using some labels for all of them as well. For this one, I grabbed this banner trim to add to the top. This banner trim comes from orientaltrading.com. I don't know if they still have it. I try and buy things from there when it's on clearance. And then I add a little piece of pattern paper in the background, the label, and then this really cute ephemera piece with the ghost trapped in the bottle. And then to accent it some more, I add some of the glitter glue to the top of the bottle's cork. And then to finish it off, I take this little gem and I adhere it to my embellishment, and that one is done. Moving on to the next one, I grabbed this little wood veneer arrow, and I've stacked all of my elements that I want to put together, and once I know more or less how I want it to look, I start to hot glue the pieces together. So I've got there the background of my text paper, and then the black cheesecloth, and then my rosette, my label, my wood veneer, and then my little accent piece, which is the ephemera piece. And then a little jewel to add some shine and some more detail. And I'm now moving to the next one. And again, I try to add a rosette to each one. I made one for each of them. So again, I've got my background with the text paper, and then my rosette, and then my cheesecloth, my label, and then my little accent. Or I shouldn't be saying accent, my ephemera piece, right? My die cut. The accent, I think, would be more like the jewels, the gems, the glitter, and that type of thing. And so I continue going along. I'm adding everything on to my embellishments with foam tape so it gives it dimension for each layer. Now on top of this little pumpkin that's got the flowers, I wanted to add another flower that was sort of lifted above the other flowers. So I put a little piece of foam tape on that last flower and then added it on top. And then to add a little accent to the pumpkin, I glue a jewel to it. And to cover some of that white on the label, I added a black enamel heart. And now I'm going to add some stickles, glitter to some of the details on the flowers. For the next one, I go with the pumpkin and the ghost. I start by adding some glue to my paper and putting my rosette in the background because it's one of the larger size rosettes. I added my pumpkin with some foam tape. Now I'm going to add my ghost with some foam tape as well. I put him on 2 layers so he's going over the pumpkin. And then a little color with that pattern paper in the background. And a gem to finalize that piece. And then, of course, some stickles. Add some glitter. For this one, I sewed on a piece of orange lace over the cheesecloth and the text paper. And I'm going to add this Happy Halloween sentiment die cut from the ephemera pack. And then I'm going to accent it with one of these little gems. I choose the really small, like diamond shaped one. And I add that right to my moon. And I'm trying to figure out what else I can add. I wanted to add a little bit more pop of color. This piece of pattern paper was just too small, so I decided to add this other piece, which I think gives it the perfect amount of added detail and color. And then another black enamel heart. And that's that one. Oh, and of course some more stickles. Now I'm going to cut another one of these labels out. These are label stickers from a Maggie Holmes sticker book that I never know what to use them for. They're very thin, so I do like to stick them onto a piece of cardstock to give them some thickness. I did leave a really small outline of orange because I felt that, it kind of coordinates. And then, of course, I adhere it to my text paper along with the black cheesecloth and then my ephemera pieces. I know that my video is sped up, but I was rushing through this because I had to pick up my child from school who had a half a day. So I had very limited time to work on these. But they got done and I had a good time, and I think that they are really cute. Here I'm adding some little details of stickles. I grabbed that puffy sticker, the 31, from a different pack that I had. I think it might also be Fancy Pants, but I think it's a different collection. And on to the next one. Now this one, I didn't have cheesecloth for it. What I did was I pulled off some of the strings from some of the other pieces of cheesecloth, and that's what I have on the background of that one. I also have a little tab at the top, and I used the rosette that I had stitched on, and I'm adding this little ghost was so cute. And then I decided to give him a fancy coffee or hot chocolate, or I don't know what this is, some kind of fancy drink. And then I add some Stickles glitter to the little moon on his hat. And I was going to add it to what looks like chocolate chips on the drink, but I decided to add gems instead. I felt these were a little closer in the color that was already on there. And as I'm adding this, I'm trying really hard not to burn my fingers because they're so small. But I do manage to get them on there. I couldn't find my tweezers. That's probably the best way to get these on like this, is to use the tweezers. And my silly camera is blurring, but there he is. He's so cute. On to the next one. For this one, I also use a word sentiment. And I finally decide I'm going to use the little skeleton that's kind of been tested out on each of them. I couldn't figure out where I wanted to put them. And this is a perfect one for him or her. And now I'm going to layer my sentiment over my skeleton. And then I almost forgot my rosette in the back. And then I want to accent it with some Stickles glitter. And then I felt like I needed a little bit of a contrast. So there goes my black enamel heart. And then I used some of this same orange and black plaid pattern paper. And I added to my background for a peak of color. And this is the full collection that I made. They are coming out in no particular order. Please excuse my blurry camera. But I made, I think, 10 in all. And so here they are. Oh, I know it's kind of fuzzy. I'm trying to like get my camera to focus. There it is. And I might add a little wording or something else to some of the tags that look like they need, I don't know, they need something. Like this one needs something. And the one right before it looks like it needs something. For this one, I used a wood veneer frame and a tab at the top and a label in the background. And so here's the one with the little skeleton and the puffy sticker. And the one with the bow. That's a cute one. And then I have the ghost one. I love his little drink. It looks so cute. And the last two, which are the ones that have the sentiment that say Happy Halloween. And I hope you really enjoyed this. I hope it gave you some ideas. I hope you're working on some Halloween crafts. And I hope to see you in the next video. Be sure to subscribe, hit like, share. And here's a little goodbye for my boy. Bye.